All right, can you see me? Better yet, can you hear me? I've been fighting internet and audio throughout the day. So if you can hear me, thumbs up. If you can't hear me, then we'll work on it. Okay, you guys can hear me. So this bundle of wires has been giving me trouble throughout the last several days. I've been chasing down issues. The donor Suburban that I got this engine from had some infestation just like the car did. So I felt like they should be right at home together because they both had some small animals live in them. But with that comes some chewed up wiring and other issues. So if you've watched my first video for Buff's Garage, you'll know that we had a lot of problems getting this engine to fire and stay running in the Suburban. And one of the issues I thought it was is the security system. So I sent off the original PCM, which is over here, to lt1swap.com, and he was able to take that out of the programming for this vehicle. So in theory, if that was the issue, this will now run and drive. Reality is it won't drive yet because I don't have the drive shaft in, the tires aren't even on. I'm finishing some last minute things, bleeding the brakes, that type of stuff. But the goal today is I believe there's enough put together, and I've rigged up a fuel tank because my fuel cell is going to go in the trunk, which still doesn't have a floor pan in the back, but it will before we leave. So the goal today is we've rigged up this fuel pump. We've got it hooked in. I have all the wiring at least figured out, but if it's not figured out, we're going to find out today. And if that's the case, you guys are going to help me work through this to try to make it run. I know you guys saw my short where I was able to test the starter button. That's all I did. I wasn't actually trying to start it. I simply wanted to hook it up and make sure that when I pushed the trigger, the engine would turn over. Ironically enough, when we pulled this engine out of the Suburban, I put the starter up on the frame of the Suburban so that it would be out of the way when I pulled it out. Well, then we put the Suburban back in the side yard, so we towed it over there. And somewhere between this driveway and the side yard, I lost the starter. And I've retraced my steps and it's gone. By the time I looked for it, it was a week out, which means if somebody found it, they, of course, probably threw it away. So I had to then wait on a starter, or this thing would have been, weeks ago, we would have attempted to start it. But here we are. It looks like a mess of wiring, which I have some new split loom. I'm going to re-loom all of this. I already tried to loom it once, and then I wasn't getting power to my coils. And one of the key things to make this thing run is to have power to your coils, power and ground. I now have that when I put ignition to it. My goal is to run it all off the ignition in there, which means I still need to run, battery and starter wire and everything in there. But for right now, I've got my Lone Wolf starter. It's all tangled up. So we'll be able to press the button and get it to turn over. In fact, I have no idea how this is going to work on the audio, so I'll apologize if it blows out your speakers. So I can get it to turn over, but nothing else is hooked up yet. So the goal today, let me see how many's watching. Okay, we got 7 in here. That's pretty good. I'll take 7. So the goal today is, of course, is to break the live curse, as Cousin Mike would say, and actually make this start. Hopefully run, idle. LS is really simple. You really just need, power to the coils. You need to have ground, really good ground. And I will tell you, I went through this harness a couple times and found some grounds not connected. So I think I've got them all now. We're going to find out. Then you need fuel and air. So this is drive-by-wire. Again, this was a remnant of the infestation the Suburban had, and this was the owner's solution. That was my first clue that things weren't running right on the Suburban when I got it. So now we were able to make the Suburban run and drive, but then it died again. Again, we thought it was the security, so it may be the security, and we have now had that deleted off when we sent the ECM off. So if it's going to run, it's going to run. The other issue is I could have a bad sensor. I could still be missing a wire somewhere, although I really don't think I am. But this is live, Nothing goes perfect on a live. So I guess we can make this a really short live and just make it start and then be done, right? Well, things are doing things. So I heard my drive-by-wire. I guess it goes through like a check cycle and it opens the throttle and closes it. It's done that. You guys will see on my next video that's coming out before No Name that I put in the Suburban's drive-by-wire pedal in the car, modified the existing pedal that was in the car to work with the drive-by-wire. And yeah, it's easy to go full throttle real quick on that thing. But I don't know if it works because I haven't tested it yet. So let's see. So I got a fuel system over here. Let's see if we can get it hooked up. That's got power. We got power to the fuel pump. I got it. All right, I only want these two to do this. I don't need this one. There we go. I had one too many. All right. Well, I'll just do shout out real quick. My fuel pump sounds sick. Of course, Cousin Mike, Landham Custom Classic. He was in here early. Rich GT350 R was here. Patrick with Mostly Old Parts and Rust. Mr. Will's Dying Breed, hello. Perpetual Projects. Auto Salvage Outlaws. Let's see. Struggle Bourbon. Okay. Well, this thing's really just trying to launch to the moon. So usually when your fuel pump fires up, it primes the system and then it just kind of holds, right? Well, it just keeps going. So that might be problem one. Oh, let's find out. Fire. All right, there we go. Okay, put fuel to it again. Okay. Turn the noisy pump on. So this is exactly what it did before when it was in the Suburban. We thought it was the security. Unfortunately, I have a feeling that we have a bad crankshaft position sensor. The only other issue is I've got an issue with wiring. Unless you guys have done an LS swap and you can give me some tips and tricks. You heard it fire, so you know it's getting spark, you know it's getting fuel. We got power. I know I've got ground. Better check all my grounds. Some of them are very, very, very temporary. Idea being, let's just make it start and idle. You guys got any thoughts? Apparently I didn't break the curse, Cousin Mike. Get one fire out of it. It's got fuel pressure. Evans Mopar is in the chat. This is the problem with electronic stuff. It's going to be one little thing that throws everything else off. And if I could fix it, then it'll run. This car is super simple because all you need is all the pinks hooked up to ignition. You need a fuel pump. You need your grounds hooked up. And you need a starter, which we have. So I guess help me figure this out, guys. What's going on? Mr. Will, so could it be? Yes. I sent this off to a programmer. He has done thousands of LS swaps himself, and I explained to him what I was doing. It is the computer for this engine. It came out of the same vehicle. The computer was doing it before I sent it off. So what I'm saying is, if you go back and watch my very first video on Buff's Garage, this engine would fire, and I could even get it to run off starting fluid. It would fire and run for just a second and then die. And after some time, I thought it was a security-related issue. I just all of a sudden one day got it to work. And I took it for a test drive, and it died on the test drive, never to run again. I've replaced the fuel pump. I've replaced all kinds of things to make the Suburban run and drive, and it just never did. So I felt like it was a security issue. I knew I was pulling the transmission out at the time, so I didn't care about going any further with it. And then this project comes along, and I needed an engine, and you guys were helping me try to find one. And since I didn't acquire one before I felt like I really needed to do something, I just grabbed this LS that was sitting there, put it on a TH350 that I literally had sitting under my bench. I did almost nothing to acquire parts here to put the main components together. So I have a lot of untested, unproven things in this car. So the engine's being one of them, the transmission. I know the pump works because I haven't hooked up the hoses to a radiator yet, and they're dumping trans fluid all over the floor here. So that's a good sign. I really have a feeling it's that crankshaft position sensor. I feel like that was the only variable besides the security. I know for a fact the guy deleted the security out of it. That was the number one thing that he planned to do. I mean, I guess he could have missed the checkbox, but for some reason, even though I have fuel pressure going to the injectors, and I know I have spark because when it was in the Suburban, I could run it off starting fuel or starting fluid. So I think the only other thing that shuts off my fuel is the crankshaft position sensor, because it has to detect where the crankshaft is. I keep saying shift, it's shaft. Right. So I can't calibrate it because I don't have the computer or software to do it. And I don't have time to ship it off before no name. So I do know people are bringing backup ECUs for me, which is awesome. I've got 2 different people offering to bring ECUs, and I hope they both do. I mean, if only one does, that's one, but hopefully they both do. If it's a crankshaft position sensor, I've already got one coming, but it's, Sunday. So I think it'll be here tomorrow. But I work tomorrow, so it'll be Tuesday before I put it in. But if that's it, then we just button this thing up and it's ready to load on the trailer. If that's not it, then I'm going to spend several very sleepless nights figuring it out before I get to no name. Fuel pressure regulator, Patrick, it's with the fuel pump that's dangling over the side of the car because the fuel cell's still not mounted in the back. It's got pressure. Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking. What else do you guys think it could be? Let's try again. That's all I get. I don't like to do this. So it'll run off starting fluid. It doesn't like it, but it will. Hello, Hot Rods and 4x4s. I haven't seen you in here before, but help me out. I could get it to run with starting fluid. I've got good fuel pressure. I've got all my wires hooked up. The only thing I can think of is I got a bad crankshaft position sensor, or I missed something somewhere. I mean, it's absolutely possible. So you guys give me a list of things. Rich, I agree with you. And that's what I believed in the Suburban. And the only thing that shuts the fuel off is security or crankshaft position sensor. That's it. If it's not getting a reading on that sensor, then it shuts the fuel off. And the same goes for security. If it's not making that two-way communication with the ECU. But my programmer, that's the first thing he does is he turns off the security. So I have no doubt after thousands of these he's done that he did that. And I wish I could hook up to confirm it. Nathan, yes. So I kind of explained it earlier, and I'll recap again. So it was in a non-running 2005 Chevy Suburban. When we got the Suburban, we only wanted the transmission and transfer case for our Pontiac Trans Am that's behind the computer there. The engine was just extra. The guy said, $600 for that transmission and transfer case, and I wanted the driveline basically. Well, in process, at the last minute, the guy said, I've gotten everything I want out of it. You just take the whole truck. So I ended up with the whole truck for $600. We worked really hard trying to get it to run. And then one day, just out of the blue, it fired up. I did some work on the security stuff to see if I could eliminate some of those problems. And it fired up, and I got it to repeat that several times. It would fire up and stay running. So then I took it for a drive, and I made it down the block, and then it died, never to run again. So I assumed, again, it was a security system. And again, we had that programmed out of it. So now I'm thinking it wasn't the security system, and that's why this truck was basically scrapped, is they couldn't figure it out. I've got everything else hooked up that I can think of. And I tested to make sure that the coils had power and ground. I just don't know why it's not starting. Well, it starts, it doesn't run. Hot rods and 4x4s. I don't know. That would be a very important question, and hopefully he will answer my email tomorrow. Because obviously I didn't put the body control module in this. I told him I was keeping it drive-by-wire, which I've tested the pedal. When there's power to the system and I push the pedal, it opens. Yeah. I don't know. I'll ask him tomorrow. Hopefully he can explain it. Or he'll tell me what I already know, which is change out the crankshaft position sensor, recheck all of the wires, which I have done multiple times. And if all else fails, I got to send it back to him, which I don't have time to do before no name. So perpetual, I don't. I've looked up what I need, which requires me to go to a brand name parts store, which isn't available to me today. I know the injectors are pushing fuel through it. I don't know if they're continuing to push fuel after it recognizes that it's firing. Yeah, I know it's something very, very simple. It was doing the exact same thing in the Suburban before I pulled it. And I originally planned on just putting Holley EFI in here. But let's be clear, if it's a crankshaft position sensor, the Holley EFI wouldn't have worked either. Yeah, so I know I've got good fuel pressure. What I don't know is if the injector is doing its thing. And I don't really want to pull the fuel rail apart on live to test it. But I am listening. I am reading, and we're all going to try to figure this out. I wish I had another sensor just laying there. If you guys have recommendations for ways to check the pulse other than that specific tool that I don't have, let me know, and I'll try it. Hunter's here. Patrick says just tap the injector with a test light. All right. I mean, I have an actual multimeter. Would that be better? Less worrisome? I'm not a big fan of test lights. I may or may not have fried some stuff when I was younger. Test light's better. Well, I'll go find one. I stashed it away because I don't like to use them. Oh no, don't tell me my bulb is bad. That's how old this thing is. Maybe my bulb is bad. Yep. So now I can't even use that. This thing's probably 20 plus years old at least since I've had it. I just don't use it. All right, what else you guys got? Rich, I haven't used one since I fried somebody's car one time, and I just put it away and used the meter instead. All right. Let's see. I just saw it. Landon says, try unplugging the MAF. If you're talking about the drive-by wire, I could try it. It's not going to hurt anything. Patrick's thinking like I am. Sorry if I'm missing comments. No, Punisher, are you my IT guy? You said you know everything really, really well, right? Computers are your strong point. Okay, thank you, Jason. We'll try that. We'll go to power, not ground. Let's check that. Just making a test light. Hello, Lars. Thank you guys for listening in. Don't know if you caught it, but we got it to fire, but then it won't stay running. Okay, Perpetual, to answer your question about the injector fuse and relay. Oh, now can you find it? I was up really late last night, frustrated because I was not getting power to the coils the way I thought I should have. And I started retracing everything back, and I could get power to the coils if I bypassed the fuse and relay. Well, the suggested fuse box and relay setup that lt1swat.com used, no offense, but it's garbage. And even though I did properly crimped connections, soldered connections, the whole deal, it wasn't making good connection throughout. So I have yanked that out, and I'm going straight to the battery, which I know is not the preferred method, but we want to see it run. So that's what we're doing. I will put a proper fuse panel and relay panel back in once I figure out why it won't run. But the one he recommended, I went ahead and purchased, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I just didn't use it right, but it was garbage. Yeah, it's got a connector on it. I need to tap it with a hammer. That's correct. So, Jason, it supposedly has no VAT system. That's the first thing the guy says he deactivates, because it's the biggest issue that GM has with their cars is the VAT system fails, and then you don't have a usable vehicle. So I want to believe that he actually did it, but here we are. And the only other thing that I know of that will cause this is a crankshaft position sensor. I mean, I know the starter works, so I drop it on the ground just like Dalton at Pole Barn Garage. So I don't actually want to break the starter. I just want it to work. Yeah, I thought about the fuel pressure as well, Mr. Will. I've got fuel pressure. For whatever reason, I lose it as soon as it starts. The only thing that shuts the injectors off that would cause that is a brand new fuel pump and brand new regulator. The only other thing it could be is that position sensor, which it'll be here Monday. I don't like throwing parts at it, but you also can't put it on a scan tool and read that. So So it's not like I could just hook it up to a scan tool and figure it out. I'd have to have the actual program he used to rewrite the ECU to be able to truly diagnose what's going on. Oh, wait. Dang it. Patrick told me to go to the power, not the ground. See, I almost messed up. No, he said the ground, not the power. See, my brain's backwards. No, he wants it hooked to power. I agree, Punisher. I think that's what it could be, but I got to try to believe the guy that he turned it off. He does this, thousands of times. Surely he wouldn't forget that. Do I have a scan tool to look at RPM? No. I have a basic scan tool. You know what? It might actually see RPM, but then I have to build the OBD2 port. I have the wire. I just haven't built the port yet. I honestly thought it would just fire. Yeah, I'm with everybody. I thought it was exactly the VATS. So by having that programmed out, or at least believing that it's programmed out, the next logical step is that crankshaft position sensor, which we will do. Again, when it gets here. But for right now, I'm told we're going to check this pulse on the ground side. Anybody know which color is the ground side? I got a red or a slightly darker red. Punisher, which one are my injectors? Which color is my ground side? This one has a red and black. This one has a red and gray. This one has a red and slightly less red. Could one assume that red is power? If not, well, we can fry stuff. All right. Can you guys see the light bulb? What do I need to do? Cousin Mike suggested we unhook the drive-by wire, so I did that. Fuel pump's running. Power's all powered up. Yep, all reds and pinks go to power. Well, the injector has a red and a slightly less red. Okay, that hooked up enough. I get it, fuel pump. It's trying to take off. Now it's up to pressure. Are we seeing anything happen over here? My bulb's not bad. Okay, bulb lights up. Well, this would be more fun if it just fired up, but it would have made for a very short live. Doesn't hurt my feelings if everyone's bored of watching me work on this, because I've been doing it day in and day out for almost 90 days. The only time I stop is to eat some food. Sometimes I eat food under the car. I go to work and occasionally go to sleep. I haven't seen much of my wife in those 90 days. She made an excuse to come out and help me a few times just to be close, but reality is, we haven't seen a lot of each other. And it sucks, but I have the remainder of the year to make up for it. How about now? So it lit up for a second. Back up. Yeah, sorry, Punisher. Wife's at work. I'm by myself. So, no, I can't get it throttled. If I hadn't mounted the pedal in the vehicle, I could. Yep, Patrick, I agree. I believe that we're getting power to our little light bulb to get it started, and then it ends. So we know we got fuel. We know we got air. We know we got spark enough to make it fire, but it won't run. And the only thing that can be is it's shutting off the fuel. And the only reason it would shut off fuel is security or crankshaft position sensor. This is not good. Don't try this at home. Because it likes to backfire. So it will run. Oh, didn't like that. Yeah, with that, on this particular GM, sometimes they will start and run, but then they die pretty much immediately. Yes, I wish I could throw an Edelbrock on it. That would solve the problem, break the curse. Rich, it should throw code, but what I've seen, because I put it on my code reader before I moved the engine over, the only thing it showed was some emission stuff and then some random auxiliary things that were chewed up in the fuse box. but nothing related to why the engine wouldn't run, including crankshaft position. That wasn't, I had a misfire on there, I had something else, but I'd also been starting it with starting fluid, and we did actually get it to run and drive for about a block. I've heard that those sensors will fail. Let's turn the fuel off before we flood everything, although it's got a regulator on. I hear they'll fail, and then for just no reason they'll start working again, and then they'll fail again. So this engine had 200 and, well, I don't know, you have to go back to the first video, but it was about, gosh, I want to say 250,000 or more miles on it. It was a lot. Changing the valve cover gaskets, I can tell you it was not pretty. Had a lot of nasty looking stuff in there, but I cleaned it all out. That doesn't mean the engine's cleaned out. It definitely needs, you know, a good treatment in there. The oil looks clean when you check the dipstick, so that's not an issue. Cousin Mike, I agree. I think the rigged up fuel system that I have isn't getting, you know, the right pressure that it needs to shut the pump off. And this is a return system, so that's what the regulator's there for. But I think once it's all closed loop, it's currently just stuck into a fuel can. You know, opened atmosphere, because, you know, spark and fuel work out really well. I figured if I burned the whole thing down on live, that would definitely get me some views, maybe. I don't know. All right, Punisher. You know I'll pay you for it, so I'll send it to you. Where's my phone? Yeah, I got it. If all else fails, Ray, I've got the part coming. That's most likely the cause. If I switch that out and it doesn't work, how about I load it up, take it to No Name, and you just meet me there with it. That's easier, right? Then you don't have to send it to me. Uh, 2458. Which one is which? Like, I remember one's black and one's another one. I know that mine's black. So that's exactly what I thought, Rich. GT350. The Hall effect switch is what's inside the Suburban, which is supposedly what we deleted with the reprogramming. This is the problem. I couldn't get the device for HP tuners to retune my PCM myself because they were sold out until after October. So then I tried to go down the Holley route, and it was $1,500 to get a Holley Terminator for this engine. And guess what? They didn't have one for this engine. They had one for 2007 and up, but not for this 2005. Like, they didn't have them in stock. And I did order one from a supposed race shop that was online, and after 2 days, it said that they didn't have the product and they refunded my money. So this was the route I took, was to get the PCU reprogrammed. It's just where I'm at. Punisher's going to make it run. Okay. 2005 Chevrolet Suburban, 5.3. Does not have flex fuel. Did not come with flex fuel. No transmission. I mean, it's got the TH350, but nothing electronic. He told me he turned off the emissions and the security. I really feel like it's just that. So last night I traced down the wires to the crankshaft position sensor just to make sure they were good, because I knew that would be a point of contention. We know that we're getting pulse here. I just don't know why it's not staying running. Well, we can try some more stuff. You guys keep suggesting, and I'll keep throwing stuff at it. I got nothing else to do. If you have something else to do, go ahead, go do it. I'll either be live when you come back or I won't. If you want to help me pay for all this, you can go to buffsgarage.com and buy a hat. I haven't shipped a hat. I've given out hats and I've sold hats, but I haven't shipped one yet. And I know that I already spend more on shipping than what I'm charging for shipping. That's okay. As long as I get my money back, I don't care. It's not about making money for me. I just want to recoup what I've spent. John, I know you got something better to do. See you later, Mr. Will. Like I said, you guys come and go as you please. I'll keep it running for nothing else than we'll just work through it together. You guys have had some great suggestions. I'm going to work on this fuel system a little bit. I was waiting on one part to get the fuel system up and running, and then I didn't even use it for this live because I still want to run my hard line. I don't want to do it twice. The problem is I can't hear the comments, so I don't know if you guys are commenting or not. I never did pull the crankshaft position sensor. Yeah, I could have somebody else, Patrick, if anyone else was here. And no, I didn't pull the crankshaft position sensor. I hadn't, in my mind, determined that that was a fault, even though it was in the back of my mind that it could be. I really felt like the VATS was the issue because it is very telltale of what a VATS system does to start the vehicle. It shuts off the fuel. We've proven, now that I've washed the cylinder walls, we've proven that it will run on starting fluid. So we know something's shutting the fuel off. We know that we got good fuel going to it. We know there's enough fuel going to it that it will start, but then it dies. Yeah, the mods can handle all the questions if they were able to read it out loud to me. Oh, I got you. Jeez. It's almost like I'm not on StreamYard or something. See, I'm so frustrated. I didn't even think of that. Here we go. I wasn't even thinking. It's what happens. You get wrapped up in this, and you forget. Okay, it's pinned to the top. So, do I think there's junk in the engine? I absolutely do. A couple of reasons. Number one, I pulled off the valve covers and it looked like garbage. So I did the best I could to clean it out without just flushing all of that, all that down the head. I gently cleaned it out. When I took the intake off, it was extremely dirty in that valley. And I took the intake off before I pulled the engine. And I know there were leaves on the Suburban because I ended up pulling leaves out of the cylinder head. So I'm sure there's junk in there. My whole goal was to run it. Hopefully we've had enough fire already that whatever was in there burned up, and then we'll dump the oil and replace it. I know that's, barbaric, but this is not a really fancy high-dollar engine. This is garbage that somebody was going to throw away. And I chose at the last minute to put it in my car with the complete and full intent to pull it back out and put something else in it later. This is just for No Name. This is just for you guys, for No Name Nationals. That's it. And then I'll pull it out and put something better in it later. So I posted the link. If you guys want, somebody wants to jump in and read off comments, I'll listen. Punisher's going to be back. Hunter, I sure hope so. Obviously, that takes finding an engine. And no offense to the original 389 that would have been in here, and I know that because when you look at all the options that were in the car, that was the most likely scenario. And, of course, I have the intake for it. But, bigger is always better. Trying to decide what to do with this 454 I just got. I don't want to put it in here because if I'm going to take the LS out to put the 454 in, that's just more work to put another Chevy engine in it. Nothing wrong with Chevy engine, but I have other plans for this car. As it sits, I've already had 2 people offer to buy it. And, oh, look at this. We're just going to add you both. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Oh, look at this. Help me fix this. We're just going to add you both.
Oh, don't add me if Perpetual's there.
Well, if you don't want to be here, I'll let you go.
That's fine.
You guys are giving me good advice, so I'm listening.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure this out.
First time on StreamYard?
First time ever, yeah. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, I turned on. Am I echoey?
No, I don't hear YouTube.
Okay, I turned off YouTube too, so it should be good.
Struggle Bourbon, I appreciate the purchase. I haven't seen it come up on my phone yet, but when it does, I'll have my wife pack it up and ship it. I don't think it's going to be overnight. Okay, where are we at? We've checked. We've got this pulse that's working. I need a real fuel system, which I will have by Tuesday. I've got all the nice fancy AN fittings. You guys can see those. I've got a big, massive fuel cell. It's sitting right next to this awesome custom-made battery box. Thank you guys at Perpetual.
You're welcome.
All I have to do is finish running my hardline. And the same with the brakes. Everything's there. I just need to finish hooking them up and bleed it. But I want to hear it run more than it just did.
So Jason's Garage says, you want my countdown clocks up.
Yeah, how do we do that?
I don't have any idea.
Tell me how to do it, Jason, and I'll do it. I'm doing okay at StreamYard, but I don't know how to do that. Other than share my screen, which at this point I'm looking at myself and looking at you guys.
So I called a buddy of mine that has a little more LS knowledge than I've got. And he is basically saying the same thing everybody else is. It's got to be the VATS thing. He said apparently, possibly there's 2 places in the computer where it can be deleted, and sometimes one of them gets forgot, possibly.
Right.
I don't know anything about LSs. I've never even touched one. So
that's how I understood it too. And I've specifically had that conversation with the guy. Again, not saying he didn't, maybe miss something, but he does thousands of these. For him to miss it would be highly unlikely. But it doesn't. I mean, we're all human, right? Maybe he may. But his solution will be send it back to me and I'll get it back. Well, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, that's not
Well, and
I'm sure he'll hook me up. And White Trash Motorsports has been super helpful too. He's bringing one that is already programmed under his account, so he can actually live change things at No Name. So regardless, this will run and drive at No Name,
awesome.
assuming the transmission works.
what I was going to say, Buff, is if you had the OBD2 port in, you could hook your
scan tool.
Well, no, not your scan tool, your programmer to it, and they should be able to do a remote tune on it.
Yes, I'll have all of that done. In fact, I'm hooking the OBD2 port. Like I've got the wire right there. So I've got to hook power and ground and this, and I'll have my OBD2 port up and running. He even gave me an extra one, which is how I know this guy did a good job. So for trucks, they have a tow haul mode, and what it does is it changes the engine parameters, and if you have an electronic transmission, it changes shift parameters. But when you do an LS swap, most of the time that's not enabled. Well, for me, I can actually hook this to a button and turn that on, and it'll change the way the engine performs under load. So I feel like he went the extra step on some things. So I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Sure. I would really focus on getting the OBT2 hooked up. That way you can plug into it with your HP, because you talk to him tomorrow.
I don't have it. It'll be.
Oh, you don't have HP tuners?
No, I couldn't get it. They didn't have the device. So you have to buy a device that goes from your laptop to the OBD2 port. And they didn't have anything to sell until after October. It's actually October 14th.
I'm with you now. Okay.
Yeah. But White Trash Motorsports has one, and he's bringing it with his laptop.
Gotcha.
So I might have been premature to go live. I thought I had everything squared away.
It's never premature to go live, because you don't want to be doing this last minute on Thursday afternoon or something.
Oh, I won't be, because it'll be on a trailer behind Dalton from Pole Barn Garage with him criticizing every moment because I'm not driving it. He's already told me that. He's giving me a lot of crap because I'm not driving it. And I said, dude, 2 things. Number 1, it's completely untested. Number 2, I don't have it titled and tagged and insured. And I could have it done by then. Well, not titled, but I could have had it done had I had him come do it. But I think they have to have Highway Patrol come and check all the VINs and all that. Well, this isn't going to match. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm going to try that. Is it Vermont trick? I'm going to try that in the near future. But I mean, the other thing I can do is I can go cut that OBD2 port out of the Suburban and wire it up. I can put it on the scan tool, and if nothing else, at least see what it says.
Yeah.
I mean, what else are we doing, right?
Do you have the security light still?
Go grab it. How's that, the church lady? You guys, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back.
So Travis, is D150 ready?
It is. It's sitting behind the trailer waiting for the trailer to get loaded up so we can put it in.
Awesome.
Hopefully, it's not really that tested either. It's got one trip around the block to make sure it runs and drives, and that's about all we've got done so far. So, but it is complete. It's ready to go. So
Awesome. Is the nitrous hooked up on it?
it is again untested. So I don't have a roll cage, and I think with the nitrous, it's going to go fast enough to need a roll cage. So we're going to save that for the last pass of No Name.
Just do it on Friday afternoon and late in the day. They'll forget by the next day.
I'm trying to arrange these. I have two screens, and if I put YouTube on one side, maybe I can do this. It looks like I'm looking away from the camera whenever I try to look at the comments.
Yeah, I have to have StreamYard on my camera's on my laptop. This is my work from home setup, so got a nice 27-inch monitor up above. So I put the important stuff, put the comments up there so I can actually read them. Heck, I drove the Duster home today. Put the new 275 60-15s on it, drag radials. Drove it home, and it's ready to party.
Are you running in the 275 class?
Yes, sir, I am.
Awesome. Hey, Buff's back.
The real question is when am I going to break the car?
Junkyard in the side yard. OBD 2-port. What makes me look bad is I'm actually pretty decent at wiring. You can't tell, but hopefully all of that will be hidden by No Name. Unfortunately, you guys didn't see that it was pretty much hidden until last night when I pulled it all back out, unloomed it all, and went through every single stitch to figure out why I didn't have power at the coils. Would you believe I missed one ground? It's only like 20 of them.
So what you're doing is way more proven than trying to reverse engineer how the JTEC on a Magnum engine, which is what I did.
I feel like it's been done so many times that if it's not working, it's something very simple. Trying to get my Bluetooth sound back. It always connects at 55. There we go. Turn it up. Okay. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. With this, I need 12-volt power. And I've got the two grounds pushed together. I like to do all this with solder. I think that's where we're at. Let me grab that real quick. Lots of wire. I got to run it into the car anyway, so I got plenty of wire. I hate to see it on the floor, but I cannot tell you how happy I am to see that the transmission pump is pumping. He really is untested.
So Struggle Bourbon says just twist it together and tape it.
You know, that's what I sometimes do in an emergency.
And Landon says screw on it so it gets good contact.
Right. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and fix it right, because I'm going to then take those wires and route them through the firewall to put my OBD2 port where it should be, under the dash. Only because at this point, I think we're all going to be standing around waiting on a part that's not going to be here until Monday. And since I'm at work, we won't know if it works until Tuesday. I'm not freaking out because I know the solution will be there regardless. Let's be honest, the worst case scenario is I get the car there, but it doesn't run. Pretty sure there's enough people there that can make it run.
That's what I was going to say. Sounds like there's going to be enough people there. It should run before you leave.
I think it'll run before Thursday night.
That's a good possibility, too. I'll bring a test light for you.
I'll have a bulb by then, but bring an extra.
I'll actually bring my fuel injector test light.
Now that is something I'm going to go buy. It's one of those things I never thought I'd need. And I'll be honest, my next car, I hope, will not have this setup. But, simple little carburetor and call it good.
Yeah, and really all that, I got a Lyle Noid light, but, I mean, all it is a fancy test light.
And that's what I was going to get.
I think it's less than $15 off Amazon.
Well, then I'll just order one. Maybe they'll be here by then.
I had a one injector plug that had an intermittent problem, and I didn't. My car's batch actually bank fire, the fuel injectors. It's not sequential, and so I had to go and try to find that one. I actually bought the Noid light, and when I got it, I'm like, wow, I spent that much on this, and which wasn't bad, but it found the problem. The funny part was when I stuck the Noid light in, it actually made the connection better, and it was okay.
Yeah, that's funny. It's similar to that one ground. Like this thing has, I don't know, probably 10 grounds or so that I had to find and plug together. And I couldn't get the proper voltage where I thought I needed to have it. I just wanted to run everything down so that whenever I went live, I didn't seem like a complete idiot. And here we are. But when I found that one ground and it tucked itself underneath the engine block, at that point I realized, okay, now it should work. Well, it did give me the voltage I wanted when I got power to it. But obviously it won't stay running. I'm telling you, if the guy forgot to delete the vats in the 2 locations, I'm going to be highly disappointed because I expected better. This guy is one of the biggest ones on the internet and YouTube for doing this exact type of budget style swap. I'm sure he can do the expensive ones too, but if that were the case, I'd just buy the poly setup and just not even use that. These very rarely fail. The older ones will fail, especially if you're changing a lot of the parameters. But these, 2002 to 2007, they very rarely fail. So we'll see. I mean, he had it on his machine, so if there was something wrong with it, he would have thought he would have seen it.
Well, it could be. I have a tough time believing that the injector drivers burned out on the board because it'll fire it the first time.
Yeah. And then it doesn't.
And then it doesn't. Yeah, it seems like it's a security problem.
Right, which it absolutely shouldn't be.
Right. As the only other thing could be is if you have so little fuel pressure, it's only getting the prime pump, the pump shot at the beginning to fire, and then it can't keep up. But you'd think it would trail off. I mean, I can fire the fuel the fuel pump on my car, and if when it gets all the way pressure, and it turn it off, and the car will run for a minute.
Right.
Now, does it run great? No, it goes way lean, but if it's sitting there idling, it'll run for a minute.
Yeah, that'll be something in my future that I'm going to get proper gauge to measure that. So obviously this isn't my first time doing mechanic work, but it's always been simple, diagnose, swap the parts. I actually would try to diagnose it. I wouldn't just throw parts at it. That gets expensive. But I would try to diagnose, swap out the parts, usually get it right, and then we move on to the next project. And it's always been more maintenance instead of actual building. Trans Am was supposed to be the first big build that I've done since I was, let's just say, a lot younger. I haven't really built one until this car since late 90s. Things have changed.
The fuel injection system on my Duster, I actually built just over 20 years ago. It's a very old Mega Squirt kit when they first came out.
You know a lot about that?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So,
I mean, I know a lot about it now, but when I did it, I didn't know anything. My brother always used to wire my stuff, and then he and I stopped talking, and then I decided on this project, thinking, oh, there won't be much wiring. Right.
Well, the reason why I ask is because there's the Raspberry Pi computer, whatever, and Megasquirt. Apparently, you can make that work instead of using this. And I don't know enough about it to do it.
You don't actually have to have the Raspberry Pi, because I do have a Pi Dash, but I don't have it in the car yet. But you can do everything you need to do with just a laptop. I'll be bringing my laptop to kind of show people it, but mine only controls fuel. It doesn't control spark or anything.
Well, apparently there's a way that it'll control everything on the LS, and then of course Raspberry Pi runs your display, your dash, like you said.
Sure.
That's the part that I'd like to eventually incorporate, but not necessarily in this car, but I'd like to build an LS with a custom display, because one of the cool things out there right now is the 2023 Cadillac Escalade. My wife fell in love with it, and since I'm not a multimillionaire, she ain't getting one. She gets an $800 minivan. But the display, when you turn the car on, it shoots across from one end of the dash to the other with this massive LED display. And she loved that. So one of the things I wanted to do was, whenever I built her a car, I want it to be modern like this LS, so she can get in it, winter, summer, whatever, fire it up, has AC, good heat. But then that little trick thing at the beginning, it'll be different than anything else that's out there.
Absolutely. I like the sound of that. Yeah, that would. I was going to say just go with the Terminator and do the Holly Dash, but if you want to do that kind of stuff, yeah, you'll have to go something a little bit more interesting.
I always like to be a little extra. Anybody can do this. It takes the ones that really go out of their way to make it, something to remember. And for her, I got to keep convincing her to stay with me. She's a smart, beautiful woman, and I don't need her to go, well, this guy over here built me something better. No, see, we're not going to do that. I don't think there's anybody else building their cars, but all right. This is going to go to the OBD2 port. That thing. Okay, Struggle Bourbon. I twisted them together. Now what?
Just put a wire nut on it.
Yeah. So in the 90s, car audio was, big. Not that it's not now, but it was really big back then. And one of my jobs, so I took electronics in college thinking that was my future. Obviously it wasn't. But I did all this car audio for a local shop, and then eventually had my own business. I cannot tell you how many times I pulled guys' vehicles apart and found wire nuts holding stuff together.
I'll wire nut some stuff, twist it and wire nut it together temporary because I'll put it together and get it running first, and then try to make it look better later.
Yeah, you see, that's where I'm at.
Oh yeah.
I tried to make it perfect first, and we see what happens.
Oh, I never try that anymore.
I don't usually, but I wanted it to look pretty for this live.
Sure.
And then last night I decided, nope, it's not what we're doing. Yeah, it's just amazing how many times people would do that and then go out. I can't figure out when I hit a bump, the stereo goes out. And you crawl underneath and you see that they wired it with wire nuts. That should be connected. Where's my scan tool? Oh, it's right in front of me. You guys are supposed to be watching that. Let's give it power. Oh, power.
What are you doing?
So Travis, you doing 28-10-5 then too?
No, I have 29-10-5 slicks. Well, that's not working. I have 28-10-5 slicks, and I didn't want to buy another set, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I needed to buy new. I have 315/60s on it most of the time, and it doesn't 8th mile very well. It doesn't ET very well, so I put more gear in it, and now I've gone to the shorter tires, so we'll see what happens. So I was buying new tires either way, so.
Yeah, my slicks are brand new. I was calculating on what speed I could potentially hit on a quarter-mile track, and with the gears that I had and what I was expecting to turn that big block, and I bought tires for that.
Sure. I understand that.
Which I don't think I don't know if I'm going to need them or not. We'll see.
Well, your Ram has is your Ram 5 on 4.5, or is it the 5 on 4 3/4?
No, it's 5 on 4.5 now. It was originally 5 on 5, but it's 5 on 4.5 now. I don't like this background that she set up on here.
I never tried the backgrounds.
It's okay, but there's something that's the window's getting you.
I guess.
Yeah, the reflection on the window.
I twisted everything else together. As well, just keep on with that. Yeah, it's not doing anything now. Weird.
That's because if I turn this way, you can see my whole face, but then I can't see any of the computer, and the cord on the webcam's not long enough to go anywhere else.
Logistics for later.
Yeah, well, we weren't really prepared for this. We kind of just jumped on here.
Well, I love it. Thank you for doing that.
No problem.
I just ran upstairs, told the wife, I said, "Is food ready yet?" And she says, "No." And I said, "Okay, I'm going up."
Yeah, mine, when she's not at work, she actually comes to check on me. She always brings me a drink, and she's like, just checking on you. Are you okay? Yeah, just bring me a blanket. I'll be fine.
Yeah, that was a virtual background, not a green screen. It's supposed to work without a green screen, but obviously it didn't.
Can't imagine my battery's dead. Oh, this is what I was going to do today, other than occasionally play on YouTube.
Oh, here's white trash is on here. Fats will kill the fuel pump and coils 2 seconds after the startup.
He's on now.
Yes.
Well, let's see what he thinks. Now again, I'm told that it doesn't have vats.
Does the fuel pump shut off?
That's what it does. What's
Did
that?
the fuel pump shut off?
I unplug it.
Okay. Oh, you're just hot wired on the fuel pump right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I haven't ran everything because there's no trunk pan in it. I'm still finishing up the rear air ride, and so it gives me more headroom to not have the trunk in it. But it should shut off, and it does occasionally. I don't know why it's not right now. When it reaches pressure, it's supposed to shut off. Makes me wonder if it's just not getting it.
So is the fuel pump's not hooked up to the computer then? It's straight to the battery?
Correct. I'm completely skipping that. Oh, wait. There's Sam. Oh, where'd he go? He was there. Come back, Sam. So my voltage was low. I've been told that these things don't like to fire. There he is. Stand by. We're adding one more.
What's happening? What's happening? Sounds like VATS to me, man. I don't know. I mean, he could have turned it off and not saved it. I mean, is the guy that did it, is he familiar with it?
He's done thousands of these.
Okay. All right.
LT1swap.com.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's who you sent your computer to? Okay. That's weird.
So, I can't just send it back right now.
Yeah, I've had issues sometimes with computers that wouldn't shut off. That's what worries me. That you would uncheck the VATS and HP tunes and flash it, but the VATS would still stay active in the computer.
Okay.
Try feeding it some fuel. You got a little bit of starting fluid, a little bit of fuel. Try to feed it when it goes to shut off and see if it'll stay running. Because the VATS will kill the coils too. That's what the anti-theft does. If it was any other sensor, it would continue to run.
So it continues to run on starting fluid.
Okay, so you're not shutting it down. Mass airflow sensor.
It's not even hooked up.
Well, you need that.
It has to be hooked up.
If he didn't write it as a speed density tune, yeah.
Let me go get it. It's in the truck still.
Yeah. Because you need. It's fine. These things are complicated. I had to figure mine out before anybody done this stuff.
If I had the ability to program it, we could have just figured it out real quick.
Yeah, well, if you was closer, you could have just took the laptop and the HP tuner thing, but you're too far away.
but you're coming to No Name, right?
Yeah, I will bring an unlocked P59 in the computer with me when I come. I will have it there as a backup for you.
That's why I love this group. I'll be back.
What's up, guys?
Not much.
How much?
I'm down to sorting tools right now, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I'm about ready. I'm just gathering everything up, getting ready, getting the camping gear out and all that. Gonna change the oil and stuff in the car tomorrow and go over it. I usually daily drive it, but the last couple of days I haven't been driving it because I was afraid of cutting a slick or something and not being able to get one with what's going on in the world. It's like that would suck. Day before No Name run over some random piece of metal on the road and cut a tire.
Yes. I just got new tires on Thursday, and I think they have 5 miles on them now.
Yeah, I have really bad luck like that. So. All right. Yeah, hopefully this will work for him because I know you can turn that off on a speed density tune, but if you left that mass airflow sensor on there, that motor is going to want it to run at least until it can run long enough for the computer to.
Pulling anything. Does that matter?
You can try it like that and see if the computer, because what'll happen is eventually that computer is going to see that it's malfunctioning and it's going to shut it off. It's going to go into a speed density tune, but.
I mean, I told him what I was doing with it.
Yeah, well, he probably figured he was going to run mass air though, so.
So
you got a piece of.
I want to point out exactly what it did in the donor Suburban.
Okay. It would fire up and shut off. But see, I'd say all the sensors are working. Did you leave your OBD2 plug on that harness when you stripped it?
It's on there now. However, I just realized it's not getting power.
You got no power on it.
It should. It's hooked right to power.
Oh, okay.
It's the OBD2 common. There's power. I guess I need to look at my pinout.
Yeah. See, on that too, I mean, if you look, you can take that mass air sensor off of that air box, and you can just take a piece of tubing and just stick it right on the end of the throttle body.
I mean, I have the original part for that.
Yeah. That's how, when I first did mine, that's how I had just a coupler connecting the mass airflow sensor right to the throttle body for the first summer I drove it. See, it's hard to say. I don't know if he shut that. He probably didn't, because most guys run mass air on them because it's a little more complicated if you shut off and just put it in speed density mode. Then the fuel table is at least there. If you're setting up for just a guy that wants to run it, the mass air will take care of the tuning a little bit and the fueling, where if you would just do it as a speed density tune, you're going to have to go in there and fine tune it as soon as it's running. So I imagine since he's doing them for everybody that he would probably just leave the mass air in place.
Well, this is odd. So I have 12 volt power. Let me take that back. Now I have 12 volt power. But my machine's not lighting up.
Okay, so it's not communicating with the computer.
And this is my COM wire. Trace it back, make sure that I'm in the right one.
You have the other side of that harness grounded too, I assume.
What's that?
On your OBD2 port.
Yes, it's grounded.
Okay.
Directly to the battery.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you got better. Yeah, you should be getting comms out of that serial port.
This is what's fun, is tracking it all down. Dark green, 58. I know that's 58, but I'm going to double check it.
Now, there's nothing on that where like the computer there needs to be grounded also, is there?
No, it gets its ground through the end. engine harness.
Yeah, see on the Fords, it has to be grounded. At least on the SN95 cars from 05 or 95 to 04.
Yeah.
If you leave them unplugged,
No,
they won't do anything.
Yeah, you can pretty much just let that LS computer lay on the floor if you got the room, and it doesn't really affect it.
Gotcha.
Put this pin out here.
It's got enough grounds coming out of everything. Everything got grounded. That was good. That way. Starter, grounded. Performance mode.
It boot me out. All right, guys. Hope it didn't boot me out now.
Sam, what is the TCC brake switch cruise control release switch signal?
Oh, that's for the torque converter clutch, and it cancels. That just grounds, or that actually it breaks the signal because you wired up. It's just for your brake. It wouldn't need to run. That just unlocks your torque converter when you hit the brake, or kills your cruise control when you hit a brake.
That's what I thought. It's highlighted as needed, but I thought it was just for cruise control.
Yeah, that's all it's needed for, is if you're going to wire up the cruise control on the car.
And maybe eventually.
Yeah, it's simple on there because basically you just get a cruise control switch out of a GM car and it's just rewire hookup.
So I got voltage, I got ground, got power, got fuel. Still don't have OBD2, which makes no sense.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. We got to figure out why the computer's not communicating. That's the thing. If you're not communicating there, even if you had HP tunes there, you wouldn't be able to connect to the computer to do anything if it's not communicating. I think you got everything else because you followed basically the same diagram I did.
Stand by. OBD2 port didn't have good power. See, that's the other thing. Since everything's not permanent, it has a real pain in the butt. I had it all wired before, and then last night I was chasing down some stuff that turned out to be a ground that I couldn't find.
Well, you know, if you wouldn't have done it live, it would have probably just started up. That's just the way the universe works.
But what's the fun in that?
You must like to do things difficult. That's fine. Been known to be hard-headed myself, but yeah. That's usually how it goes. You know, you go get your buddies and say, oh, man, come check this out, and then doesn't do it. Should do that growing up with my dad.
Defined by the manufacturer, please enter to select the manufacturer. Doesn't even know what it is. I've never had to do this before. It doesn't recognize. Okay, map throttle position correlation. That's one code. Throttle pedal position sensor. Throttle pedal position sensor. Throttle actuator control.
You got all that plugged in, don't you?
Yep. Now, we did unhook it. We did unhook it.
Do you have the, yeah, but do you have the TAC module plugged into the gas pedal and plugged into
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's some code you were getting. That's why I asked.
I hook it up here. Someone suggested it, and I thought, what the heck? I'm going to double check the pedal.
Hey, when you key that on, do you hear the throttle open and close?
Yes.
Okay, because let's make sure that's kind of the self-check on that drive-by wire. That throttle, you should hear it open and close when you key the power on.
Yep. We're going to let it chill for a second.
Yep, Sam, Travis, I'm going to jump off of here. You guys have got it covered. I'll keep listening in, and hopefully we'll hear it run here in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. Today's Amber's birthday, so I'm going to go hang out with her. We'll watch it live.
Okay, bye,
All right,
Amber.
guys. Take care, man.
Yeah.
Good talking to you.
You too.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to erase all that because it's all related to that pedal. Error in communication. Oh, because I turned the power off. I'm an idiot. Sorry. Sorry, car.
It's all good, man.
So when I hook
You're going to use it worse than that.
It not only gives me that, you know, the throttle opening, but I get a little blink from my injector. We've got a test bulb to see if it's pulsing or not.
Yeah.
And it is. And whenever I put starter fluid to it, it will stay running and it stays pulsing.
Okay, so that kind of, yeah, so that's good that if it keep pulsing the injectors, then that's telling us that it's probably not the vats shutting it down then, so.
Correct.
Because the vats will kill the fuel pump signal, the coil signal, the injector signal.
Reset. So what about the crankshaft position sensor?
I've usually had them either when they're bad, they just don't start at all. They just crank with no start.
So, like I said, when it was in the Suburban, I'd get that fire, and then if I turn the key back off,
back down.
Right, and when I turn the key back off, turn it back on, after a couple of cycles, it would fire again. So there's a lot of no start, and then it would fire and then die immediately. So we thought it was cool. And so, because we could keep it going.
Yeah.
So I replaced the fuel pump and all that in the truck. And eventually I played with the vats up in the Hall effect sensor. I played with all that. And out of nowhere, it just started working. So I took it for a test drive, got clear down the block, and then it died. So we drug it back home, and I parked it, and I never touched it again. So here we are, fast forward over a couple of years. Supposedly VATS is turned off. Supposedly my wiring's correct. I could still make it run on starter fluid.
Yeah, well, if it'll run on starting fluid, your VATS is definitely turned off because it would still shut off. So we're just missing something there. You got another crank position sensor?
It's on order. I could go pull it out of my truck, but then I'm stranded.
Yeah, well, didn't you have that spare 6.0 or whatever? You didn't have the whole motor.
Aha! That's a good point. Let me go look. This is why you guys are on here helping.
Say, I thought you had a spare.
You are correct. Now, let me look to make sure I didn't get rid of it. So it'd be ignorant if I did. It's already torn down. So take this. There's the camshaft. The camshaft one's a lot bigger, isn't it? Not still in the engine.
Yeah, when you get up against the wire in custom classics, yeah, it gets stressful, and sometimes your mind goes blank because you got so many things firing on off at the same time.
I forgot all about
Hopefully
that.
we can troubleshoot it though and get it going. Just sucks when you're so far away you can't put hands on it too.
Yep. All right, it might have gotten misplaced. However, I'm pretty sure this is the camshaft, not the crankshaft, correct?
Yeah, the camshaft goes at the top where a distributor would go.
Right, and that's the longer one. And then the crankshaft should be a shorter one, correct?
Yeah, the crankshaft is the shorter one because it goes in the side of the block.
A little more on the spot.
Yeah, and then on the 58 tooth crank trigger motors on the newer ones, the cam sensor goes into the timing cover.
Okay.
See that changes it? You said that engine was doing the same thing in the truck you pulled it out of, so that's kind of narrows it down to it could be an issue there with something with the electronics on that engine.
That's what I'm thinking. I didn't properly diagnose it before. That would just make sense.
Now, when you're cranking it, you're just basically jumping your starter wire, right? You're not triggering it through the ECM and letting it fire the motor, are you?
Correct. I'm just jumping it with a single button push.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I was gonna say because you don't. The factory just has a signal wire that goes into the ECM out to a relay to run the starter, but that's not needed on a swap.
Right. That's basically what I went with. Was it's directly wired to the starter. I'm using the purple wire. I'm using the push button on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as
Trusting the computer to start. I know it's capable.
as long as you're spinning it over that way, that should be fine. Let's say with the VATs off, it ain't looking for the body control module anymore because that's basically what it's trying to communicate with when VAT.
I'm going through all my parts. That seems to be the one part that's missing.
Always is.
What do they say? It's always the last place you look.
Well, it's usually the last place you think to look.
Yeah. Because if it's not the last place, why are you still looking? I got some flat top pistons. They look like crap.
I think it's just.
I have no doubt it's here. But where? I don't know if you can read the chat. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts, but I think we're on the right trail. remember correctly, that position sensor goes inside the block, right? Not the head, not the pan, the block.
No, it goes out of the block at the very back. It's the last thing before you get to the transmission flange of the block.
So basically, I got to just drop the starter to get to it.
Yeah, it's behind the starter.
Yeah, I checked it already to make sure that the wiring was good. So I at least was in the right spot. Well,
As I said, if you only had HP tunes there, as I said, because you could do a live on that, it'll do a live data. We could have seen if we was getting a crank trigger there.
yeah, I couldn't find the part.
I'm trying to think. Got an old tack laying around?
I'm thinking.
I mean, you won't get the proper signal because that's that one. An LS tack without a tack converter needs a tack that's capable of running for like a 2-cylinder because of the way it pulses. But you could tap into the tack wire and crank it over. If you see if he was getting a signal, the tack would bounce.
Would my meter do anything?
I don't know if it probably happened too fast. I don't know if the meter could keep up with it.
Oh, okay.
It's basically just going to go open and close. You know, it's just a 2-pulse tack signal coming out.
Look at my Trans Am. Oh, that's probably not going to work. I got the Trans Am gauge, but it's fat.
Yeah, that's not gonna.
That's not gonna work. I need more tools, I guess. I really did. I tried to buy HP tuners, but the module, little device you plug in, wasn't available until after October.
Yeah, that's good. I think they change it now to that wireless setup. It's like a Bluetooth setup.
Right.
Yeah, I have one of the.
I can't find it.
I have the the Pro version. That's still the hardwire. What it come out a few years ago.
Well, I have a lot of stuff that I can look at here.
Here, see if you're getting. If you go key on, see if you're getting any codes. Because
Manifold absolute pressure, low.
Yeah, see, it would run with the map. It wouldn't run good, but it would run even with the map disconnected.
Well, let's go ahead and try to hook it up and eliminate one more. I find a flat blade. Like I said, I don't know who else watching or if anyone's watching.
We might have ran them off. No, just kidding. We probably didn't run them off, but
No, that's not it. 4 days, 13 hours exactly. That's how long I got left. All right, thanks, Landon, for reminding everyone to hit the like. I appreciate it. Now, 20 likes. That's awesome. Bear Rose was here. If he's still here.
yeah, Bear Rose a trooper, man.
Go back to StreamYard. Hunter's still here. All right, Hunter. Put a Pontiac in it and make it work. Hunter's got a pretty nice Pontiac as well.
Matter, you know what Tony would tell us, if it had a carburetor and points, we wouldn't have this problem. But
I would agree with him. But,
I would too.
but if I have all of my, what is that, T's dotted and I's crossed, My eyes are pretty crossed now, but if I did everything correctly, it would have fired and been pretty much flawless.
I don't know. I believe now, though, but you're saying that with the issue in the other truck, you probably have that wiring right. If you followed that pin out,
I did.
I'd say your wiring's right then. I mean,
yeah, I believe the wiring's right. I believe I'm missing. I either got a bad sensor or I'm missing something that needs, done differently. I need to get a piece of. Do I need to go get the whole hose, or can I just? Oh, I know what I got. Stand by.
It goes right down there in the end of the manifold, or plugs into the top of the intake manifold.
Yeah. I got something special. Well, tonight I'm going to pull apart the garage. It's been kind of a mess because, this has been the cleared area and all of that's been piled up. So I'll go through the garage tonight and try to find that crankshaft position sensor. Look at that. Makes me itch.
My intake tubes looked like that once, but I don't have the gumption to keep them clean.
I don't even know where that goes.
Okay, that's a P59. Need that. So I guess I got a chop down harness here too. I guess I'll throw in a crate, put in the truck with the stuff I bring to Stukeston.
Awesome.
It's already pinned out that way. Worst case scenario, we can swap the harness. But I think you got it. I got faith in you for that. I've seen enough of your work that I don't think that that's the issue.
Well, I'm glad somebody has faith in me. I was feeling pretty good about it when I went live. And then I went live and didn't feel as good about it.
Oh, you was cursed from that second when you went live. That's where it all went wrong. I've tried that plan and stuff to do it live. Okay, I'm going to fire it up right now, and you hit the key and the battery's dead. Really?
I thought I'd figured out what I needed to figure out, but apparently I hadn't.
I know. I'll get there. It'll notify everybody when I pop one. That's fine. We got to get this figured out first. This is more important.
Am I delaying you from something?
Oh no, I was going live at 7, but that's fine. I said that's how I told them. They reminded me that the reminder was up. I said everybody will know when I'm there, so it'll notify when I go on live.
Here's the thing: you can go live, and then when your live's over, we can come back and keep playing.
If I do, I can go live. I'll just drop a link in there. I'll go on StreamYard and drop a link. If you need me, hop in there. How's that?
Okay. That sounds like a good plan, man.
I know. I just hate to bail on you, Bob. I mean, like I said, if need be, I can stay here instead. Them guys can wait. It ain't that big a deal. It's not.
Y'all are watching me sweat, so you just go right ahead. And if I get
all right, then, man, I'll have a link up there.
Yep.
I'll have a link. You need anything, pop in, man.
I will. Thank you.
All right, Bob. I'll talk to you a little bit.
And, check out White Trash Motorsports Live, and if we get a little further along here, then I'll fire back up later. So thank you, guys. I'm going to shut her down for now. Let's go over and see Sam, and then we'll come back.